Moving on, Donald Trump pulled us out of UNESCO. The United States is no longer a member. Um, Again, I mentioned that we're a little late getting to this story, but to be fair, we've had a lot of a lot of stories to cover, and I think that indeed that is kind of the point of this administration, their muzzle velocity strategy of making sure that we all always have something to talk about. But the the this is such a he's pulled us out of a lot of different things. We've regressed as a country. Once upon a time, we were the beacon that the world looked to, and a lot of that came with the presidency. You know what I mean? Like the president was our great ambassador, and we exported Americanism, if you will, to the rest of the world using not just movies and music and fashion and whatever else, but using the president. And historically, whether or not we liked the president was, for the most part, at least based on appearances, a decent person, right? And that was no longer the case as of 2016. And we've continued to dig ourselves deeper into that hole as a country, right? Once upon a time, this place was the place that everybody wanted to come to. America was it. And now everybody's afraid of this place. And maybe there's some people that like that. You know what I mean? But that doesn't last nearly as long as people might think, nor does it make people safer in any meaningful way. But this is what a lot of people have been tricked into voting for, in my estimation. And the world for us has gotten a lot smaller as a result of that. For people that don't see the world, maybe, Mount Rushmore and the Golden Gate Arch and, the Portland headlight up in Maine and Statue of Liberty is great. But there's a whole planet way bigger than this place. And even though I've seen all those landmarks, I've been very fortunate, and so is Q, to be able to see landmarks all over the planet. And us not being a member of UNESCO, I think, again, creates a little bit more distance from us and the planet we live on and the people we share this planet with. For the folks that are not familiar with UNESCO, it stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. It works to build peace and security by promoting international cooperation in education, science, culture, and communication. It achieves this by setting global standards, producing tools, developing knowledge, and fostering networks to address challenges and promote equality and peace. UNESCO's work encompasses a wide range of activities, including protecting World Heritage sites, advancing quality education, safeguarding cultural heritage, and ensuring access to reliable information. So why did Donald Trump pull us out? All right, let me share this. This comes from iHeart.com. Donald Trump is pulling the United States out of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. United Nations, Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO. White House officials confirmed to the New York Post. Trump ordered a 90-day review of alleged anti-Semitism or anti-Israel sentiment within the organization in February, with the administration officials reportedly taking issue with UNESCO's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, as well as alleged bias favoring Palestine and China, according to White House Deputy Spokesperson Anna Kelly. Quote, President Trump has decided to withdraw the United States from UNESCO, which supports woke, divisive cultural and social causes that are totally out of step with the common sense policies that Americans voted for in November, unquote. Kelly said. She goes on to say, this president will always put America first and ensure our country's membership in all international organizations aligns with our national interests, unquote. UNESCO's publication of an anti-racism toolkit in 2023, which reportedly called on member states to adopt anti-racist policies and compete in a race to the top to become the primary social justice advocate, as well as its Transforming Mentalities initiative in 2024, which focused on reshaping how men think about gender issues, specifically what was described as harmful gender norms, were among the issues cited in the probe. The The Transforming Mentalities Initiative included a video game report that suggested how games could promote gender equality moving forward. Quote, it's not only about controlling the negative impacts, but also relying on video games to address socio-cultural stereotypes and encourage positive anti-discriminatory behaviors, unquote, said Gabriela Ramos, Assistant Director General for the Social and Human Sciences at the time. UNESCO also reportedly used its executive board to designate Jewish holy sites as Palestinian World Heritage Sites, having frequently claimed that Palestine was occupied by Israel and condemned the Jewish state's war with Hamas without criticizing the latter's reign over Gaza, according to the White House. Beijing was also reported to be UNESCO's second largest funder, and Chinese nationals were put into crucial leadership positions. Quote, China has leveraged its influence over UNESCO to advance global standards that are favorable to Beijing's interests, unquote, the official said via the New York Post. Trump initially ordered the United States to pull out of UNESCO during his first term in 2017, once again citing an anti-Israel bias at the time. The U.S. had previously withdrawn from the organization under former President Ronald Reagan in 1983, who claimed it had, quote, exhibited hostility toward a free society, especially a free market and free press, and it has demonstrated unrestrained budgetary expansion, unquote. All right, I know that was a long time, but that's the story. Q. I want to make sure that you have plenty of time to respond, so why not you go first?
I don't need plenty of time on this one. Right? Science, education, anti-racist, anti-Zionist, anti-MAGA. Sounds about right to me. Everything that he opposes, they seem to be for. Again, science, education, anti-racism, and anti-perpetual occupation and open air prison and genocide.
Yeah. Well,
sounds about right. Like, I don't know what either of us can add. That sounds about right. All the things they stand for seem to be all the things he's very, very outwardly against. Even when what does UNESCO mean again?
Let me go back. It is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization.
Education, science, culture. Yeah, that sounds like the opposite of somebody that we know to me. Right. And before my brother cuts back in, you conflated two things unintentionally earlier that I just want to point out. That I know you know what you meant to say. The Golden Gate Bridge and the Gateway Arch. You called it the Golden Gate Arch.
Oh yeah, the Gateway Arch. Sorry about that.
Ramses has been to both of those places.
I've been to both though. I've been all 50 states.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I've been all over.
He's been to both, so he just merged them together.
Yeah, man. I'm going to London this weekend, so I'll be out. So anyway, so here's the thing, and I think it's very telling that Ronald Reagan was the only other president to have withdrawn from UNESCO. And now Trump. And there's a lot of commonalities there. Those like deeply conservative people that want to take America back to a time when they think it was America's heyday really, really loved Ronald Reagan. They're going to die loving Ronald Reagan. And I imagine there's a group of people that feel the same way about Donald Trump. That's what they want. They want a white country for white folks that looks like it did in the 40s and in the 50s, right? But to be fair, the economics don't support that. These people are hearing ideas that make them feel comfortable, but don't bear out in the real world. For the people that love Ronald Reagan and the philosophies that he espoused, they have to admit that his fiscal policy did not work. Trickled down economics, we're 50 years in, nothing has trickled down. In fact, it's all been concentrated at the top. And now the world is a much harder place to navigate for Americans trying to step out into their own. And all those old school conservatives are going to die knowing that they were wrong and not caring. And I'd imagine that Donald Trump is probably creating another reality or another group of people. And I think that this maneuver is indicative of just how how much smaller the world has become under his leadership. Before we get to better, do better, did you want to add anything else?
Well, you said they were going to die knowing they're wrong, and I just think you're giving way too much credit. Oh yeah, we were wrong. Okay. We shouldn't have went MAGA so hard because yeah, we messed up on that one. Like,
well, they were wrong about the trickle down stuff, but you're right. Maybe they won't even notice that.
They're not going to admit that either. We've been watching the same movie.
Yeah, that's fair.